Okay, y'all, before we get into any of the plant chores and the rest of this video, I have a very exciting announcement to share with all of you. So it's something I've been working on since, oh gosh, October, November time last year, and I'm finally allowed to share the amazing news with y'all. So I'm going to be showcasing an indoor plant garden at RHS Malvern Spring Festival. So y'all remember I went to the Malvern Plant Festival last year. That was the first year they had a festival of houseplants within a sort of big RHS show, and they're doing that again this year, and they've actually included show gardens similar to how at Chelsea or like any of the other RHS shows they've got like the sort of outdoor show gardens, which is like a curated garden on like a theme, and I guess also similar to the sort of houseplant studios at RHS Chelsea. It's kind of a big deal, but this year they're doing indoor plant gardens at Malvern. So I applied for one and I got one. I'm so freaking excited about it. So I am going to be at the RHS Malvern Spring Festival in the sort of houseplant, indoor plant garden area, along with loads of other people. I'm very excited. There's lots of other gardens that you're going to be able to see and enjoy. So I'm going to be there with a curated garden I have made the entire show. So I would absolutely love it if any of you wanted to come out and see it. It's something I've been working really hard on, and I'm very excited for it. So you can get your tickets to the Spring Festival using the link below, and I actually have a discount code if you want to use, I think it's houseplants10 for some percentage off of your ticket price. You can get discounted tickets if you want to buy them online in advance. I highly recommend it. And even if you aren't going just for me, I thought that the Spring Festival last year was absolutely amazing. It was so much fun. I really thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm just so excited to be part of this and doing something like a huge big project. I'm beyond excited, and I'll be able to talk more about it coming up in the next couple months, and I'll definitely be sharing my whole sort of journey with it with you. But for now, I just want to say, go get yourself tickets to the festival before they are gone. Hello friends, it is time to do some plant chores. And I don't really have like a specific list of things that I want to be doing in this video, so I figured I would just take you with me for pretty much a full week of houseplant chores, letting you know everything I get up to whenever I do anything planty throughout this time. And we can do them together. It's sort of a week in the life of a crazy plant lady kind of thing. How's that sound? I mean, it better sound good because you're here. But that's the plan for today. If you're new here and you don't know me already, hi, my name is Emma and I make houseplanty content all over the internet. So if you want to follow along with my houseplanty journey and maybe learn something along the way, stick around, watch some more of my videos, and subscribe to my channel. If you are not new here, welcome back. I really appreciate you returning. Now let's just get into what we're gonna do today. So the first thing that I want to do is I have a new thing to try. So this is hypoaspis mites, 10,000 of them, which is quite a lot. But these were sent to me very kindly by Ladybird Plant Care, which is who I get my predatory mites from, who I get my nematodes from, all of my sort of biological pest control I get from Ladybird Plant Care, and I very much appreciate it. It's not sponsored by them, but she did send me this for free to try out. But apparently they eat fungus gnat larvae, and they are a thrip predator. Not that I think I have thrips at the minute. I think the predatory mite sachets have been doing a really good job at making sure I don't have any outbreaks. I genuinely, knock on wood, don't remember the last time that I actually found a thrip in my collection, which is great. I feel really glad about that. I feel like I'm in a really good place with that in my collection at the minute. So I feel like the sachets are working really well at preventing outbreaks from occurring. But obviously it's one of those things where, like, if I bring any new plants into my collection, if they aren't, like, if there's like a single larvae on one of them, I'm pretty sure thrips can replicate, multiply. They can multiply asexually. So like even if there's a single larvae and it can eat enough to become an adult, it can reproduce asexually, which is like great. Luckily, I'm not bringing any new plants in my collection at the minute, but sometimes it happens. But the main thing I want to use these for is fungus gnats, because I pretty much always have fungus gnats. Even though I do use nematodes, usually about twice a year, I will go through and use a whole nematode, do a whole nematode wash. I tend to do them in early spring and early autumn, just to sort of like flush it through the system and kill as many as possible, in addition to having sticky traps up. But these, I feel like they're not curative. This is not going to cure my fungus gnats, but one of the main issues I've been having is that I find my moss poles like get fungus gnats, and they're much harder to deal with because the nematodes, how they move around is on the soil in like the film of water that goes around soil, and the moisture doesn't work the same in sphagnum moss as it does in the soil, and so they don't work as well in that. But apparently, I was talking to Tessa from Ladybird Plant Care. She's the one who owns it, runs it, all that, and she says this could do the trick for me, and so I can give it a go, I guess. How do I? Oh, it's got a little air thing in the bottom, so they're not like suffocating. Okay, that makes sense. Let me see. If I can get this lid off without my big worry is I'm always gonna like fling lots of predatory mites everywhere. Okay, so the sort of substrate it's in, sometimes like you get things and they're in like husks. That's how a lot of predatory mites come, but these come in like a slightly more soily thing. Well, what's it say in here? Usually bran husks, but this isn't bran husks. This to me looks more like soil. And you're not going to be able to see the predators in here. It's not possible because they're brown, so they camouflage, and they're only about 1 millimeter long when they're fully grown. And so I wonder, I'm sure I could go in with a microscope and have a look at them, but to be honest, I don't feel like pulling out my microscope. So I'm gonna try and sprinkle some of this around the tops of the soil. And apparently these don't need that like sort of moisture. And so they can climb up the moss pole and like get rid of, like if they smell the fungus gnats or whatever, I think they can, from my understanding, they can, this should work. Of course, it's not a foolproof thing in my home. It's pretty much impossible to fully get rid of fungus gnats, and especially if you ever bring new soil into your home, there's almost always going to be some sort of fungus gnat eggs or larvae in that, and it's kind of not preventable. So it's just something that I know I have to deal with, and so I use biological stuff every 6 months or so. So let's take some time and distribute it, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's going to be kind of difficult to see what I'm doing, but I'm literally just going to dump some of the, oh, that was quite a lot. Okay, I just dumped it on the top of the soil there. So because I have so many, I'm just kind of going to put it wherever, on top of any sort of plant, not just the moss pole ones. Because I may as well. There's no harm in it, really. But obviously I wouldn't put this on top of semi-hydro, because that just doesn't quite make sense. So a lot of the plants in that zone, I don't need to put it on. I should probably put some in the cabinet as well, because I do have quite a lot of soil plants in there, and I know for a fact I have fungus gnats in there. I know for a fact this one has fungus gnats. Let me see if I can wake them up in there. kind of don't want to let them out though. I want to like immediately squish them. It's okay. It's fine. It'll be fine. Goodness, this one's doing so well. Look at it. Very, very happy, very, very variegated as well. Pleased to finally have this one working and growing well for me. Finally, it's been an absolute process. I'm also going to go through and do some dusting. It is literally my least favorite plant chore. I massively despise dusting, so anything I can do to make it easier is really, really important for me. And one of those things is getting one of these sort of disposable dusters. I know it's not great for the environment. I get it. I would prefer to use my dusting gloves, but sometimes just the thought of like pulling them out and like going through every single leaf makes me want to cry. So getting something like this, I can kind of just like go over things a bit quicker. And it's probably not as like thorough of a dusting, but the plants are still more dusted than they would otherwise be. And I feel like this is kind of what I have energy-wise in me today. So this is what we're gonna be doing. And I'm just gonna go give things a nice dust. Also, I think these kind of work on the velvety leaves as well, so I don't have to like switch between that and a brush in order to get things as clean as possible.
Television shows like parks and recreation. You
I should also note that this is probably not the best way to do things if you have any sort of pests in your home. Obviously, if you've got pests like thrips, spider mites, mealies, you probably want to be quarantining those plants anyways, but you probably should not dust them all with the same exact thing. Or you should like either use something disposable or like clean the cloth very thoroughly between like plants in order to like make things stay uninfested. But the thing is, I'm pretty positive I'm not dealing with pests at the minute. I say pretty positive. I'm like very positive I'm not dealing with pests. I have not seen one in quite a long time. I feel like I'm very, very on top of my collection at the minute. And because I haven't brought anything new in quite a while, the chances of me having a random outbreak of pests is quite low, especially as well because the windows haven't been open this time of year. It's too freaking cold, so they can't get in that way. And so I don't feel worried about dusting with the same sort of thing over and over again in order to make sure my plants get clean. But I just generally feel so much better now that they are clean. So just beware, if you are at all worried about pests, this is probably not the best method of cleaning, but since I am confident in my current collection, I'm feeling like it is okay that I use the same thing for every single one. Hello and welcome to my absolute mess of a potting station. So I just filmed me repotting a bunch of propagations, and this is what we were left with. And one thing that I didn't end up doing in that video because my cuttings weren't as propagated as I thought they were going to be was my varicosum, which I had air layered. And I air layered it because it was going off the top of this moss pole, and I wanted to like chop and prop, but I wanted to like get it propagated first. But the air layering, I don't know if I just didn't leave it on long enough or what, but it didn't work out. And so now I've got them propagating in sphagnum moss here. Hopefully I don't ruin it. But I've got the bottom as well that I wanted to put onto a front opening moss pole. So when these ones are like ready and viable to go in, I can do that. And I figured if I am doing that, I may as well pot up in a slightly larger container because that makes sense. So we're gonna upsize this bad boy just one, and I can figure out how to get this front opening moss pole in here. So I found another sort of front opening moss pole style on Etsy. I'll make sure to link it down below. And I got a couple of them to try in order to like give them a go. I want to give everything, like I may as well try, right? Like there's no point in me not giving things a go, especially if I can get them in the UK. Again, it doesn't feel like super duper thick. It doesn't feel as sturdy quite as the like last kind, the kind that the rest of my, oh my goodness, the rest of my front opening moss poles have been, but this one feels stronger than the like super duper flimsy ones that I got off of Facebook were. But the thing is, I haven't tried those yet, so like I still don't know if they're good or not. I just have decided that I want to do this one instead. But these ones are also a little bit bigger, which I do like. They are quite sizable. And the only weird thing though is that it's got like these things that just kind of stick out, which looks a little bit weird, but like whatever. Beggars can't be choosers, right? The good thing though is they are like laser cut so that you can stack them. They've got these holes in the bottom and the top. Oh, can you see that in the top? Yep. And you can kind of stack them like that. But I figured it might be actually freaking perfect for attaching the pole to this, especially because this one also's got those little slits. So I think I pulled out some, yes, some cable ties, and I'm just going to see if I can get it to attach well. Do I want it straight or diagonal? doesn't really matter. Let's go straight. So that one. Ah. So I'm just going to put that in there. And because there's like lots of up and down room, it might not be like perfectly stable, but I think it will still be better than having not attached it at all. Like it's not gonna come out completely like it would have otherwise if it weren't attached. Okay. I mean, I could attach it in 3 spots, and I feel like maybe that'll be better even. So like already that's kind of stable, but not at the same time. Let me see if I can hook it into more than one spot and if that would help it. I guess I could also say that I don't normally lift things in semi-hydro out by their poles, but I like a bit of stability, you know? So we're attached there and in there, so it's not going anywhere from here. The thing is, these just kind of pop out a little bit. They're not the strong, like they don't stay. Would it be better if I went in? Oh, maybe I should do it like that. Is that weird though? Like have it go inwards instead of outwards. Let me play with this for a second. No, I dislike it. It's made it like a sort of teardrop shape. So unless I fold the corners, ooh. I mean, nah, I still don't quite like it like that. So I think I'm just gonna do it back the way it was. Okay, I spent way too long playing with that, but I think I've gotten it to a point where it doesn't look weird and it doesn't just like come out easily like it did before. And once it's filled with moss, I feel like it'll be even better. I've just kind of folded these guys over so they don't stick out anymore, which I do already prefer. So let's see if we can stuff her with some moss. And then maybe I can get this thing to frickin' stick to the moss pole, because it did not stick to the previous one, and I don't think it was a watering issue. I did give that one water still. It just wasn't doing anything. Right. Let's moss her up. Also, because this is a bit bigger, I'll be able to put a cup on top a little bit better, I think. Just spilled it all over myself. That's alright, it doesn't really matter. These just generally aren't as easy to use as the plant scraper ones. Ugh. For frick's sake. I am gonna get angry with this. It is so difficult. Okay, let's try putting this on. Oh my God. I am going to cry. This is so annoying. Okay, I think I'm getting it. Though this has been the absolute faffiest moss pole I have ever, ever worked on. Ever. Okay. She's in. She's like properly strapped in there. I think we're in a good place. I'm covered in moss. That was the most annoying thing ever. And now I can fill in the semi-hydro around everything. Around the roots that were already there before. Okay. Okay, cool. See, I'm very glad I didn't do that in my propagation video because I would have just been so tired and annoyed the entire time. But I've gotten it to a good place. It is all potted up now, and we can go give everything that I've done today a good thorough watering. I feel like that would be very useful. Also, I will need to find a good cup for the top of this one to make sure it stays nice and moist. I don't know if I have a good cup at the minute, but first, let's get everything cleaned up here because it's just like an absolute chaotic mess and it stresses me out. All right, so I just finished a video where I did some like planty rehabbing of things, which will probably be up next week-ish. But one of the things I rehabbed, or I'm working on, I repotted it basically, because I wanted to give it some nice soil, is my Thanksgiving cactus. And something that I feel is absolutely necessary with it is I need to put it in a place with more light. And so I'm actually going to put it up here, because in this spot, it'll actually get some grow light, and I think that will be beneficial to it. It's not gonna get loads. It could definitely be in a brighter spot still, but I think it's better than nothing, because in its old spot, it was definitely not getting enough light. Another one I did was my Peperomia Hope, which actually lives just around here. And I might pop this grow light on, this one here, because I feel like it will do better if that one is on. So let me add on bedside. Yeah, I mean, it's just better when plants have more light, and on such dark days like it has been, like it's not been at all sunny in the past, maybe like, I think since Friday, it's not been sunny, and it's Wednesday today, and so these plants are not getting as much light as they otherwise could want. So yeah, also, I'll show you a bit of B-roll in there, but you can kind of see that the grow light here was ever so slightly too bright for my Glorious. It was a little bit too close to it, and so a couple bits have gotten a bit bleached, sunburny, which is unfortunate, but I do know that this plant is really liking having a grow light on top of it, so I'm not gonna change it, but it was definitely getting a little bit too bright, so I kind of moved it, shifting it slightly more outwards, more towards the Rufidovore tetrasperma and the Hoyas that are over in that corner. And the Glorious is still getting light from that, but not as like intense direct light as it was previously. I'm also gonna attempt to propagate a couple of these Peperomia leaves that fell off when I was repotting. And so I think the best method, from what I've heard, is to pop them like into some soil in a closed container. So I've just put some ficus mix in here, which is what I put the plant into originally. And basically I watched Claire's video on how she propagates hers, and she just cuts them in half like that and pops them, just sort of like buries their cut sides down into the soil a little bit. So I'm going to do that with all of these, and I'm sure some of them are probably going to rot, but may as well try, right? This is not something I have done before with Peperomia Hope. I've never tried propagating it, and I feel like these leaves are so much thicker than other Peperomia leaves. I don't know if they will, like, in theory they should act the same. I don't see why they wouldn't, but it's just a little bit more scary when it's not something you've done before. Because, like, look how juicy that is. It almost looks like you're cutting into, like, an aloe vera or something. I don't need that piece. That's a piece of bark as well. Getting in my way. we've got a little like container of it, and I am going to give it a titch of water. I mean, I'll probably need to give it slightly more than that. A little bit of water, and then I'm going to pop the lid onto this container and put it somewhere bright. And I mean, I don't see why this wouldn't work. This is how I would propagate other peperomias. And so in theory, it makes a whole heck of a lot of sense, but I don't know, something about the peperomia hope just makes it slightly more scary for me. I'm actually just going to pop this on top of my pond box there, because I feel like it'll get quite a lot of light from the Barina lights, and they are, I mean, they're not like super warm, but it's not cold in this area. Like, I mean, it is kind of cold, but with underneath the grow light, it is not particularly cold. So good morning. Today is a new day, and actually the first thing I want to do today is try out some planty tech. So this is the start, I guess, of a little bit of an experiment, and I will update y'all in the future. But basically, in the past, I think in like end of 2023 and throughout 2024, I have been like using kind of a little bit this sort of plant sensor thing, a little plant monitor that like does soil moisture and light insights and humidity and stuff like that. And this was the first time I'd ever seen something like this, but in recent months, I've started to see more pop up, and I wanted to give them a go and kind of test them out and see if they were worth it, see if I liked it. And so I'm gonna start a little experiment today with these and get them set up, and I'm actually gonna put them all in the same plant because I'm curious to see whether or not they will tell me at the same time whether a plant needs water or like if it's getting too much light or something like that. And they all have different apps and they all have different programs, and so it's gonna be a little bit of setup time here this morning. But the first one is the One Earth plant monitor, and I actually got a 4-pack of these, and these are quite expensive. These were not cheap for a 4-pack, and I think technically they suggest you put one in each plant. I think that's the same for all of these sort of things. You would need to put one in each plant because it's measuring the sort of soil moisture constantly. And so in order to do a collection my size, it would be outrageously expensive. I personally don't think I need that in my home, but it is good for having some plants that are a little bit more finicky. I previously used this one in a schismatoglottis, and that really helped. This was before I put all of my schismatoglottis into semi-hydro, which I now realize is the better situation for them, for me, because they are very thirsty, and so I was using it to make sure my schismatoglottis didn't faint. I also have had one previously in my bird of paradise back there. That's the one I'm going to be using today because I think the bird of paradise pot is big enough for all of them to sit very close to each other while still like sort of having the same sort of environment. So it's like the closest sort of test I can do. So I've already set this one up. It exists already in my home. I have just recharged it because they do die. It's an electronic, so you do have to charge them every once in a while. And to be honest, I forgot to do that. And I actually haven't looked at the app for this one in months. But now that I'm trying out 2 new ones, I wanted to get this one set back up and you know, just do a proper experiment. The next one we have is from a brand called Willow, which I got, I think it's from Australia. Yeah, it's an Australian company. And so it did take a little bit to get it out here. But this one, upon opening, it's got what goes into the soil, but then also this sort of sensor Wi-Fi thing. But I think you can hook up to 40 of the sensors to one of these. I feel like maybe these aren't Wi-Fi enabled, but they can connect to this somehow. I guess we'll see when we set it up. But I got that one, and this one looks at light, humidity, temperature, and soil moisture. So that'll be good, and it's got its own app as well. And then the third one I've got is from Elho, which is where I get most of my sort of plastic pots, my plastic cash pots. I freaking love Elho. I realized that they put out a smart pebble is what they're calling it, and it looks like this little pebble in the soil, and it measures water, light, nutrients, and temperature. And this one doesn't have a sort of I don't even know what to call it, the like extra device, this side device, and neither did the like One Earth plant monitors. So I'm really unsure, but this is what it's looking like straight out the pack. I'm very curious to see how these do, because I'm just, oh, okay. I'm not familiar with them. Ooh. They all look so different, but like the same at the same time. Very interesting. Right, so I have popped them all into my bird of paradise now, got them all set up, and gave the plant a good water. I think the Elho one said it's going to take a couple hours to get some data, and then the Willow one said it'll take a couple days to get some data. Like, I think just to get sort of regular data in there, but I did just water everything, and so hopefully we'll be able to see. Not going to be in this video, but I figured I'd set it up with y'all here because why not? It's fun. But the one thing that's kind of annoying off the bat is that with the Willow one, I just have to have this thing plugged in all the time. This little device just needs to exist, which is kind of annoying, in order for me to like get notifications and stuff. So I just need to find somewhere to plug it in that just like isn't my sort of living room plug that I plug everything into all the time. I've got to find somewhere like out of the way for it. I think maybe if it can go farther away than like this, I'll have to test it to see if I can like put it in a different room in like a random plug that doesn't really matter, because if it can, that would be my ideal. But if not, then I'll just have to keep it close by and it'll just be weird. So yeah, okay. Otherwise, I'm just going to stop and have some lunch, and then I've got some moss pole work that I want to do this afternoon. And technically I've got a repot that I want to do, but I've been putting it off. It's like a big like semi-hydro repot chain, and I've been procrastinating on it because I really don't fancy doing it. Maybe I'll leave it for tomorrow morning, but who knows, maybe I'll feel like energized after doing some moss pole work this afternoon and be able to do it then. Okay, anyways, we'll see you in a second. It's time to do some moss pole things because my Monstera dubia has gone off the moss pole massively. Also, I still cannot get over these roots. Look at those. They're so freaking beautiful, but it's gone over the top of its moss pole, and it's time to give it more. Am I gonna be able to get this back onto the moss pole? Yeah, I'll be fine. But I need to give it an extension, and unfortunately that means it's not gonna be able to go back into the spot it was originally. So I'm gonna have to find a new place for it after this, because I don't really, like, I can't really shorten it. In fact, I want to tallен it, lengthen it. So let's add, also, can we just, before I do, talk about the size of this leaf? Do you see how freaking large that is? And it's got like the proper sort of outside splits. This newest leaf, after that one, isn't quite as big yet, but it's not hardened off yet, so it very well could get even bigger. But I think because it's not been on the pole, it's not been getting the sort of moisture, and so it might be sizing down ever so slightly. So let me see if I can add a new pole onto the top of that one. I think this should be an okay size. I have actually, very luckily, this Plant Scraper hexagon moss pole that I think will fit just inside of that. And if it does, that would be amazing, because then I don't need to make a new moss pole, which, I mean, I have the supplies for it. It just takes so much more effort, and I don't know if I have, not that I don't know if I have it in me, but I don't know if I feel like it. And I mean, I could use a front opening one. I think the one that I used, the kind that I used the other day, that would in theory work, but I don't. It was so faffy. And I mean, it's probably less faffy now that I know how I would want to do it, but I don't know, I don't really feel like it needs to be a front opening one. Though maybe it would be helpful, because then I could get things off easier. Don't make me do it. I mean, it would, I think it might be helpful. Okay, let me see if, not those ones. So these ones are too small, I think. The ones I got on Facebook, I think they're too small. But what is it? This one? This one. It might fit. Let's see. I mean, that does fit quite nicely. This is the plant scraper one, or the front opening one. I mean, it doesn't fit poorly. It's like quite similar in size, and I think if I filled it out with moss, it would be fine. Maybe I should do the front opening one, because then if I ever want to take it off, because the roots grow so intensely, I don't think I could take it off if I had, like, I'd have to cut it out of the other one. But, like, does it matter? See, my initial thought is to use the plant scraper, the, like, hexagon one, but the more I think about it, the more I'm leaning towards the open front. I feel like it makes sense to use the open front one. Yeah, okay, I'm going to do that. But I also just like massively need to fill in what's in here already. So I've got my moss. Just using the Soil Ninja stuff as usual. And I think I will probably keep it plastic wrapped. Though actually if I'm putting it in a different spot, I don't think I necessarily will need to plastic wrap it. Ooh, also, pull that up a little bit, the stake in there, so that it'll like connect to the third one that's going on top. Way easier this time to put together this moss pole now that I sort of like have it sussed out. It's not perfect, but like I understand it more, and so I can just make it work easier. Let's go a little bit further, and then we can slide that inside. So that's on there. It's not attached, which is my only like small worry. I just have to make sure that if I'm lifting this up, I don't lift it by the top one. I'll have to like have a think and see if there's a way I can attach it more solidly. But for now, I think that's fine. But I'm just gonna take, I think, this one here and wrap it around the stem there. So that's like around there, which is good. And I might do another, I might actually just do them all. I feel like I may as well, because it will like entirely root along that whole bit. I've got it to attach now on both of those. It is still like very, very faffy on this edge, and I'm like constantly worried that these bits are gonna pop out. Maybe cling film will help just to like secure it all in. I don't know if I want to do cling film around the whole thing or not. Brought you into the bedroom because I genuinely think this is probably the only space that I'm going to be able to put it. I don't have very many other spaces for like tall moss pole things. So I'm thinking I either need to replace the Glorious, the Rhaphidophora tetrasperma, or maybe this splendid in that nook, but I feel like the nook is too skinny for what I want there. Because this goes out, like, it's quite wide. The leaves, they spread quite a lot on this one. And I don't like, I'm sure I could like tie them up, but I really like the way it looks more spread out. I think also, no matter what I do, I'm gonna have to find new space for whatever I am taking out. I don't really just like have space for a giant Raphidophora tetrasperma that's taller than I am. Like, do y'all literally see this plant? It is as tall as I am, 5'9", from the floor. I think if I can put this one over here, that's not the worst spot for it on that. And it's like, it's still supported by the wall and it's not blocking anything. And it like further plantifies this zone. Not that it wasn't planty before, but there's just sort of a white wall behind it, like a little column. So I feel like that should be okay there. And then it'll also give a chance for this one to start facing more the other way, because before the light was coming from that direction and now the light will be coming from this direction because it'll have the window there and also kind of the grow lights behind it. And then I can kind of put this one in that gap, probably on a stool, because then if it's high enough, I can always like slowly lower the stool. The stool that my Glorious is on, it's fully adjustable. So maybe I put the Glorious on something else and then use that stool underneath this, because then this can get grow light there. And I think it'll quite like that. I feel like that would make the most sense. So let's do some adjusting. I've got this plant stand. I think I got it from like Amazon or something ages and ages ago. I mean, it's really gonna lower the Glorious. But if I put that in there, gosh, it's heavy at the minute as well. It's because I've just watered it yesterday. If I put that there, I'm gonna put that in that gap. I mean, it looks really like short now, because obviously I've lowered it. Maybe I just leave that. And then this guy in a nice heavy pot. Can go there. I mean, the whole thing looks quite low like that. Okay. Okay, that's like as high as it can go. I feel like it doesn't look terrible. And you know what? It makes me tempted to put another moss pole on top of the Glorious here, because like this isn't that tall and it does have loads of growth points that will get there eventually. So I don't think it would be the worst thing if I did increase that as a moss pole. Maybe let's do that now. I mean, I'm probably making this harder for myself later on when I'm not gonna be able to find other places for this, but you know, we're here and I want it to be bigger, so I'm gonna make it bigger. Fab. So I've actually grabbed a couple of these dragonfly clips in hopes that I can just about get them to attach. This is like the very edge of what they fit on, but it'll do. And now we can see, oh, this is gonna be a pain. See if it fits in its spot. I mean, yes, it fits, but I seriously am afraid of it falling over because it is quite front heavy.
Okay, I can like lean it against the wall. I do really like how it looks though next to the Monstera dubia. I feel like that's quite a nice combo. Because the leaves like aren't quite the same green, these are much darker, and with the like texture of the splits, that's some good plant styling in my humble opinion. And if this one gets to be as thick as it is at the bottom, at the top, I will not be mad at that. I can probably shift that a little bit down now because it's not as close to those leaves, because you know how I said the other day that it was bleaching those leaves. Well, it was, but now it's further away. I don't think it will as much, but also that. I feel like that's fine. I mean, in theory, to be honest, I probably have more grow light in this section for such big plants, but I do have this guy, which I isn't plugged in right now, but I do put on every now and then, especially on these sort of dark days. And I guess I could pop it on now just to see the vibe. If I did turn it on, whoa, I get hella light. I think they would actually like quite appreciate that on a regular basis. So if I'm not sitting at my desk, I can keep this on just so it's just so things get light. Oh, I'm really happy with that. And I do quite like the Raphido for it in the spot it's in, so. Oh, that's good. Good moss pole working. Good morning. It is time to finally do that bit of repotting in semi-hydro that I've been procrastinating for not just this week. It's been a minute. I've known these plants have needed a bit of a refresh for a while now, and I've just been ignoring it. So I have a few alocasias here that are just a bit like floppy. They aren't doing very well in their pots. Like, they could definitely be more upright. They've outgrown their pots. They need a size up. And originally I was gonna put my crystallinum in a size up, but it turns out I don't actually have an upsize for that one. And so we're gonna do a slightly different chain today than I was originally expecting. So I'm actually going to be repotting my Regal Shield, which is in quite a nice big pot here, into no drainage, but like a no drainage vase. And I think it should be okay. I mean, we might like unpot it and find out that it's not going to be big enough, but just based off of the roots in here, there's really not that many, and I feel like it would probably be fine in this. So we're gonna start with this one and then pop the Ninja into this pot and then pop the Cuprea Aslanii combo into that pot. So it's a little repot chain sort of thing. And I do this fairly regularly when it comes to repots with semi-hydro stuff, especially because I don't have tons and tons of semi-hydro, or not semi-hydro, self-watering pots. I do have a lot, but I am almost always using most of them. The ones I have the most like regularly free are my small white ones, because I use them at the beginning of a plant journey and then they size out of them, and so I just tend to have a lot more of those just spare available. It's the big ones that I don't have. And I mean, I suppose the answer is just to buy more. But if I can avoid buying things, I like to. Also, I got this from a charity shop for, I think, £5.50, which I'd say is pretty good. Okay, yeah, this is really not rooted like at all. It's literally just got those really nice roots that we saw on the side there, so I am not worried about putting this into something smaller. In fact, I think it'll probably like it a little bit better, and it'll be able to like give it a little bit more support vertically. I mean, also, this leaf is probably ready to come off, and it's probably thirsty, all of the things. It is just time for a change on this one, and I hope that it'll like the sort of no drainage life. So far, all of the plants that I have put into no drainage, I've found have worked really, really well. I've not really had any issues with it. And they just seem to be really happy like that. And so whenever I go past a charity shop, I'm always looking for more sort of essentially vases, stuff for floral arranging, things ideally that have sort of straight sides. They don't have a bottleneck at the top. I have my rearranging in a bottlenecked jar, and I'm pretty positive that I'm gonna struggle to get that out. It's going to be a faff and a half. Whereas if they are straight-sided, they're not as like likely to be a struggle getting out to like upsize, because I am gonna have to upsize my rearranging fairly soon. So right now it's pushing out a new leaf, which I'm super excited about. So I'm not gonna repot it until that leaf is out and hardened off, but probably after that, it will be time to give it a new pot. So a little bit scary, but that's okay. That should be fine for this one. Easy enough. I think it looks nice in this as well. And like, it kind of goes with the sort of tallness of it. Hopefully I can get this one to stop cycling. I'm so tired of my Regal Shield cycling. It's been cycling for years at this point. Oh my God, I nearly just spilled this entire thing of semi-hydro on the floor and water. That would have been freaking awful. Really bad time. But luckily I didn't. So let me grab a pot or something to put this semi-hydro in, and then we can put the Ninja into that big one. And I mean, I'm gonna have to go through here for corms, but I'm pretty sure I put this, the Regal Shield into this self-watering pot fairly recently, so I kind of don't think it'll need, it probably won't have corms in it. I will go through anyways and make sure that there's no sort of dead roots, and then I'll pop this to the side for more boiling. I tend to do like one big round of semi-hydro recycling sort of like once a month or so, just because most of the time I can't be bothered to go through the process of it. It's kind of, it just takes time, really. Time for it to boil, time for it to like cool down, time for it to dry. And so it's not my favorite thing to do, but it's something that we have to do. So I'm just going to quickly put the Ninja in here. Also, I kind of want to check the roots on the Ninja and maybe pot it fairly deep in this. Oh my gosh. Do you see these roots? It's got so many roots, and so many of them are just, all of these are just mush. Everything that's been outside of the pot is just bleh. No wonder you're having a bad time. I'm not surprised, because you got loads of rot. Okay. Yeah, okay, so it also lost its like really, really big, beautiful leaf that it had on here. And I figured once it did that, I knew something was wrong with it. I knew it wasn't happy. So it's definitely time to give it something fresh, because like the size of the roots on, like for the size of the plant is pretty abysmal. And I'm definitely not gonna, I'm gonna have to go through this for whatchamacallit, corms, as well as to pull out all the dead roots, because there's just gonna be dead roots just in there. And I'm trying to remove any of the dead roots and rot from this. Also, I didn't realize this has 2 growth points on it, like this side and this side. That's quite cool. So weird. This one's been doing so well for so long, and then suddenly it just decided it wanted to freak out. which was really, really weird. Okay. That is way less than I was hoping for. And I'm kind of debating whether or not I want to pot it up a size. Let me... Oh, would it be weird? I might set this aside because I could size it down even, which is really weird. I can go through this guy, the Cupria, which I think has more healthy roots. I can go through this and see if this would like the upsize. Because I feel like it probably will. Yeah, see, this is what the roots are supposed to look like in there. Like, small, but not rotten. Keyword, not rotten. Corm. So I'm not gonna mess with these roots too much because I don't want to shock the plant, and I don't need to. But I think a swap from the smaller one to the bigger one, and then I could put the Ninja into the smaller one to hopefully have it in a better spot. Take out a couple of corms in here, which is exciting. And I'll pot it slightly deeper in the in that pot. All right, well, I didn't need to shift the regal, but that's fine. I think after seeing how few roots were on it, I'm kind of glad I did. Okay. Let's do a shift. This is all fine. And it's just good to have a bigger sort of self-watering pot available because they are extremely useful to have on hand. Put that in there. Okay. Gosh, do I need another bowl? No. Okay. That's gonna go in that. That needs to be fully dumped. Yeah. Oh, there's just so many bits of root that have obviously been alive at some point, but aren't alive anymore. You know what it probably is? I probably just didn't water this in time once or twice, and that caused it to be an issue because the semi-hydro in these pots goes all the way down to the bottom, and therefore the roots can go all the way down to the bottom. I think that could have caused like quite an issue for it, because if I let it dry out all the way and then I watered it, those roots would be like freaking out a bit. So let's just pop this one up. In here. Go like a little bit lower than it was before, just so it has a little bit more support. I just need to be very careful with this pot now. I mean, honestly, I could have put it even lower. Yeah, that's better. Okay, and I will put it into this pot after I've washed it out. I'm just gonna rinse it because it's had sort of like the mucky water in it, which isn't ideal. Oh, there's totally space in the bottom there. Cupria, all good. Also, you can totally see it's got 2 flowers on it in the minute. One, I was able to hopefully harvest pollen from, and the other I'm waiting to open up so I can hopefully pollinate it. It's the first time I'm ever trying something like that, so it very well could not work, but fingers crossed it does. And then with the Ninja, we can put it in this one. And I think it will like this better, because also, like, you can see the bottom of the pot is really never going to be sitting in the water, and I think that will help it. Okay, that's the last of my, like, recycled semi-hydro. So I need to pull out my fresh stuff. I think that will be a better sort of thing for it. I've also potted it again slightly deeper. I feel like that's the thing with alocasias, because they do cycle a little bit. The deeper you can pot them to like cover up the bits where they've cycled through leaves and like don't have them anymore, the better. So I will need to give these all a good water, and I really need to now go through this semi-hydro and like pull out all the nasty root bits, but I might leave it to dry out actually, because it's easier to separate the roots out when it is dry. So that's a problem for later, Emma. Not now, Emma. For now, let's just give these water and get them in their places. So now that I have done that, I think I have done pretty much everything that I might have hoped to want to do this week. All of the little bits that just like randomly need to get done, and some things that I probably would not have done without you being here. So thank you so much for being here and watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up down below and leave a comment on other houseplantey things you'd like me to talk about in the future. If there's anything I mentioned in this video that you want to know a bit more on, let me know and I can hopefully make that for you in the future, and subscribe for more. Again, thanks so much for watching. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next one. Don't forget to keep growing. Bye!